Now, we begin with the protection racket. That's the focus of tonight's angle. For almost a year now, Democrats have controlled the White House and both branches of Congress. Their left-wing allies dominate our universities, our public and private schools, our newsrooms, the entertainment industry, and even many mainline churches. So why do they seem so miserable? They've gone from trying to scare you about the latest COVID variant to railing on about how democracy is in peril, insisting that the only solution is legislation that shrinks state authority over their own elections. And, of course, they've been obsessing over January 6th. Today, they went all in.
We are in a battle for the soul of America.
December 7th, 1941. September 11th, 2001. And January 6th, 2021.
Know that as we reflect on that darkest day, we remember that the insurrection sought not only to attack the building, but to undermine democracy itself.
I viscerally feel the pounding on the gallery doors.
Truth is clear as this shard of broken glass that I have carried with me for the last 365 days.
Now, this was the theater of the political absurd. None of these Democrats who spoke today really believe our government faces an ongoing threat from MAGA mobs. If they were truly worried about political violence, which we condemn no matter who perpetrates it, they would have been on their high horses condemning it in the summer of 2020 as well. Now, I was there in Lafayette Park across from the White House when fires were starting. Bricks were being unloaded from backpacks. Police barricades were being pushed up against. All manner of things were being said to the Capitol Police and the police surrounding the White House. I was sickened when violent force was used against the Capitol Police on January 6th, and I was sickened by what I saw that night in Lafayette Park as well. Now, in objective terms, the damage caused by the 2020 Floyd riots was far worse than what happened on January 6th. They were the costliest civil unrest riots in the U.S. history, with insured losses estimated at over $2 billion. So by the end of that summer of love, more than 2,000 law enforcement officers were injured and 574 riots were declared. During those riots, 624 arsons were reported, 97 police vehicles were burned. Officers were pelted with bricks, water bottles, fireworks, and even Molotov cocktails. According to the Washington Post, 25 people died across the country as a result of those riots. Yet almost all of the Democrats' emotion, their real emotion, was reserved for George Floyd and his family and the protesters themselves. They were courageous demonstrations infiltrated by perhaps a few bad apples. When protesters ascended on Washington during the Kavanaugh hearings, they smeared him and his family, they cornered senators in elevators, and of course, we remember how they banged on the doors of the Supreme Court. Democrats didn't opine about protecting the integrity of the process or the institution. They loved every minute of it. So allow me to decode what really happened on the Hill today and into the night. All of the emoting and hyperbole was really the last gasp of the old guard. The dinosaurs of the Pelosi-Schumer age are about to go extinct. They know their political con game is coming to an end in November, and they're so petrified that Trump or someone with similar views will win the presidency in 2024 that they're even willing to team up with an old nemesis.
What was actually going on with these so-called enhanced interrogation techniques, the torture.
The attitude that was there was very, I think, came from Dick Cheney.
Handing out billions of dollars in contracts without a bid to Halliburton while you're still on the payroll makes you unfit to lead this country.
You can always tell when the Republicans are restless because the vice president's motorcade pulls into the Capitol, and Darth Vader emerges.
But there Darth was on Capitol Hill today, Dick Cheney representing the mastodons of the Bush age, decrying what's happened to his old party.
For the Republican leadership's handling of this, of the reaction to January 6th?
It's not a leadership that resembles any of the folks I knew when I was here dramatically.
Now, first let me say I've always liked Dick Cheney personally, and I defended him when Nancy Pelosi and others trashed him. But the condition he and George W. left the party in 2008 was this. They had lost the House, the Senate, and of course then the presidency. In May of 2008, George W. Bush was the most unpopular president in modern history, with a 71% disapproval rating. That's worse than Biden's. And by December of that year, Cheney himself was earning similar accolades in the Veep category. So all the latter-day reinvention won't change the fact that the Bush-Cheney policies proved thoroughly unpopular. Some of them I actually supported. But economic collapse, endless wars. In January 2009, W's approval rating stood at 22%. And Dick Cheney comes to Capitol Hill to decry the direction of the party? A Republican Party that has grown more diverse, bigger, and more blue-collar since Cheney left Washington? Now that's funny. The fact is, the bipartisan regime that kept the wars going on long after Americans really wanted to be there, they really care more about promoting democracy abroad than preserving it at home. They're the ones who don't really trust democracy, because they know that when the people get their way, it means things like border enforcement, ending unlimited immigration, keeping politics out of schools, and protecting women's sports. They simply can't risk another repeat of 2016.
It sounds like, Congresswoman, that the goal of the committee perhaps is to go after Trump's inner circle and prevent the former president from running for president again. Is that a fair assessment of the goal?
No, the goal of the committee is what I said. We need to know what members of this body were doing, what they were engaged in.
No, please. Now, today was just another act in their dramatic effort to save their dying species. Yet none of it's going to distract from their own failures on inflation, COVID, the border, these wars, Afghanistan. And the GOP is never, ever going back to the Bush-Cheney playbook. No, thank you. To preserve democracy, you actually have to trust your people. But they don't. And they're ruthless. If you refuse to concede that America is systemically racist, you're labeled a racist. If you show up to complain at school board meetings, you're a domestic terrorist. If you share your conservative opinions online, you get canceled. And if you simply attended a rally in Washington on January 6th, you're an insurrectionist. How weak these Cheney Democrats have proven themselves to be. They control all levers of power in America, and yet their message to the world is, we can't govern, and our democracy is about to collapse. Once again, China has to be laughing. They're doing its work. What a wild thing to see. In just 12 years, Democrats have gone from hope and change to doom and gloom. Pelosi's propagandistic production on Capitol Hill was a blatant and cheap attempt to deflect attention from the cascade of calamities piling up under her Democrat majority. But none of it's working. In just under 10 months, the voters of America will end her protection racket for good. And that's the angle.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.